Hello everybody. We get to actually talk to another awesome female entrepreneur here in the local area. Very much aligned with that, like-minded with our last guest. Thank you for being here, Kayla, owner of Lavender Health and Wellness.
Yes, thank you. I'm so excited to be back, and we can talk about more exciting things that I'm doing.
So last time we chatted, you talked about the one service that you were offering. So let's remind listeners about that, what it is, and if you still offer it.
Yes, so it is CranioSacral Therapy, and I still offer it. I
Wonderful.
still love it.
Perfect.
And it's the thing that everybody needs, but no one knows they need it.
Yes.
It's great for stress, anxiety, headaches, migraines, literally life, and how to cope with life.
Well, all the things you just named are, I would say, byproducts of stress.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
And if you're living in a day today, you have stress.
Yes.
There's no doubt about it.
Exactly.
That's
It is
awesome.
so relaxing, and so yes, I'm still doing that. I'm still doing that service,
Wonderful.
and I've added on.
Okay, yay. So what have you added on, and what led you to add more services?
So I've added on hormones,
Okay.
specifically bioidentical hormones. And there's this huge misconception of people think all hormones are equal
Okay.
and they're all the same, and that is not true.
Okay.
So I do bioidentical hormones.
Okay, so what led you to start doing the work with the hormones? Because I saw you at an event earlier this
Yes.
year. We had this conversation a little bit. I named literally one symptom, one thing I was feeling, and you said, "Yeah, well then I'm sure your progesterone is low." I'm like, what? How? So you just know those things so innately that you can help people through it. What led you to start this service to help others?
So my own story. So I've struggled with PCOS for years. You know, when
For those that don't know what PCOS is, can you?
Yes,
Perfect.
it is polycystic ovarian syndrome.
Mhm.
And now it's kind of looking more at maybe it's more of that metabolic syndrome, because you don't have to have the cysts on the ovaries. You don't have to have a lot of excess hair growth.
Mhm.
You don't have to struggle with overweight. So, it's not a one size fits all, okay, this is it.
Yeah.
And so I struggled for years, irregular periods, and they just go on birth control because we can't figure out
Yeah.
what's going on, which is cute when you want birth control. But then
Yeah.
when you get married and you're like, okay, now I want to start a family, and that doesn't fix your regular periods.
Mhm.
And I'm almost 37, struggling with infertility.
Okay.
And it's okay, I really just needed to focus on the insulin resistance, and I needed some progesterone and some thyroid optimization.
Those are all a lot of big words and seem like really hard things to do.
Yeah. So that's why you really need to find someone that understands
Yeah.
that, hey, it's not just your ovaries, and hey, it's not just because you're drinking a bunch of pop, or you're not exercising, or you're not putting in the effort.
Or you're 35 and you have perimenopause because Instagram told you
Yes.
that you're too tired and you must have it.
Yes.
Right? I mean,
Yes.
we laugh, but how many people really look through those Instagram reels and oh, this is exactly me. I must have this.
Mm-hmm.
Really, everyone is different
Yes.
with their hormones, correct?
Yep. Everyone is different, and now that I'm getting closer to that peri age,
Your face says it all.
I'm
It's
like,
eh.
no, we're not there yet. But so I have that passion for those young people that have irregular periods, that have been told they have PCOS, or they unexplained irregular periods, and then now as I get a little older, I have that passion for that perimenopause.
Mhm.
And really, there's a lot more that goes into it, but as we get older, that progesterone starts to drop, and that's when we maybe feel irritable, angry. We don't exactly love our husbands the week before our period.
Mhm.
And so that can be signs of some progesterone deficiency.
Okay, and so you're naming a lot of things that could be going on.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a solution for us?
Yes.
Okay, how
Yes.
do they get a hold of you, and what would that look like? So if I'm going to make an appointment and I
Yep.
say, I'm kind of just feeling, Instagram told me I have perimenopause. Can you help me? What would you do at that point?
So I like people to do that initial intake visit. It's an hour long. There is a lot of paperwork that goes with it. I meet with you. We talk about all the things. I look at any recent lab work that
Awesome.
you've had, and then I may add on, or we need to do some lab work.
Okay.
And then from there, you get your lab work done. I see you 2 to 3 weeks later, and we go over that results, and then we come up with an individualized treatment plan.
Awesome. Okay, and so the hormones that you were talking about, what led
Yep.
you to choose that avenue versus the plethora of them that are out there?
So I really like the bioidentical
Yeah.
because they are the exact genetic makeup as our body makes.
Okay.
So for desiccated thyroid, you may have heard it as NP thyroid or Armour.
Okay.
That is actually a pig thyroid, and
Ooh.
it is a blend of T4 and T3.
What does all that mean, Kayla?
So the body converts free T4 into free T3 through the liver.
Okay.
But if we have fatty liver or we have issues with our liver and it can't convert it, then we have an issue because
Oh.
it can't convert that process, and maybe our body just needs a little bit of additional support for that thyroid.
Okay.
So that is one thing that may be beneficial.
Yeah.
And then the others would be like progesterone, testosterone, maybe estradiol. That actually comes from yams or sweet potatoes. How cool is that?
It's food that we can actually just eat on a daily basis.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I did have someone ask if they could just eat.
Eat sweet potato.
Yeah, you'd have to eat a lot. And really, they extract such a certain molecule,
Mm-hmm.
and it's such like a high grade sweet potato. Yeah.
That you need what you're gonna help them with, not
Yes.
just the regular sweet
Yep,
potato.
and I do only compounded pharmacy, so I trust them. I know their process. And yeah, and really, you're going to get faster results with a higher quality.
Awesome. And so, like all of us women, I would say, we know our bodies pretty well, and we know when they're off. What would you? Is there help for men and their hormones? And how can you help them? Because I know that, like I just said, women, we're very attuned to our bodies because we know that M word is coming up in our lives, and we don't want to have it hit us like a ton of bricks. But men run on a 24-hour cycle.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have that joy of a month like we do. How do you help them? And I'm like literally pointing at Trav, like, you need so much help, Travis. No, you don't. But how do you help the man who doesn't feel as manly as he wants, or maybe too manly? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
How do you help them?
Yeah, so kind of like two brackets for men.
Okay.
There's 40 and older, or let's say they are for sure done, like having children.
Okay.
Then we may look at, okay, I want to do the lab, same thing,
Mm-hmm.
but are you a topical testosterone candidate? I prefer topical versus the injection. I don't care for the pellets. I like the topical because for men, they're going to get more of that even testosterone level versus like that up and down.
Okay, awesome.
Because they metabolize the testosterone a lot faster than us women. We only need application once a day. Men, twice a day typically.
Oh, awesome.
And so really if they're younger than 40 or they're still wanting to conceive, then I may look at other avenues and I may actually add in more like herbal support. So I actually had a patient case. This is my huge success win.
Yay.
So his testosterone. We didn't do testosterone supplement. We actually did Clomid, believe it or not. It is actually, it is off-label for low testosterone in men. So it's not just a women hormone to help with pregnancy. But so I did Clomid with herbs for him, and his total testosterone went from like 250 up to 970 in 4 months.
Whoa. Okay, so 250 to 970. What's the ideal number for?
Closer to 1,000. Like 970. If we're under 200, that's when we start to see like cardiovascular, loss of muscle, and over time we can see that increased risk of prostate cancer.
Sure.
This is incredible. So I'm not gonna lie. When I walked in here, I didn't think you were gonna be able to say you could help men like that.
Mm-hmm.
You guys, she can help every single person. If you're not feeling like yourself, there's a problem. And so we don't want to wait till we're having those hormonal breakdowns and we're, going to the closet to cry for 75 hours because we can't handle our emotions. What are some of those maybe body signals that we can listen for to be like, wait a second, this might be something worth calling over to Lavender Health and Wellness for?
Yeah. For women, it's like, okay, that week before my period, I really dislike my husband. That's a key. Or we're having like period changes, like heavy cramps, bloating. Maybe they're irregular or they're heavier than what they used to be. Or I'm like younger and I don't have that period.
Okay.
Even just like rapid weight gain or brain fog, sluggishness, that doesn't seem to go away. It seems to be like a consistent trend.
Okay.
Hormones are slow to recover and also to react.
Okay.
So really want to give like a 3-month window.
That's going to be hard for a lot of us people to hear because we live in a hustle culture
Mm-hmm.
where we want a quick fix for how we feel.
Mm-hmm.
And you're telling me there is not a quick fix for our hormones.
No.
And that's honestly, the listeners need to hear that because if it's
Yeah.
how you feel and it's hormone related, there's a place they can go to get helped.
Yeah.
And so when you say they do the labs, is that like you go get blood draw, or do you go get a urine sample? What kind of labs are you looking at?
So for that initial, I like to look at like the blood work.
Okay.
And so I contract out. So I got it all set up. So your labs go over, your orders go over. You just show up, get your lab draw, and I have results typically within a week.
Amazing. And so how does someone start the process? Do they go on your website and they fill out a form? Do they give you a call? Do they reach out through your Instagram? How do they start with you?
Yeah, I'd say my website has the most information.
Okay.
If you go to the hormone section, actually, there is a downloadable guide to get you started.
Ooh.
And it kind of talks about this is what to expect on your first visit. This is typically what to expect as far as like cost, duration. Kind of gives you like a ballpark because not everybody is the same.
Yeah.
You know, one person may only need one hormone. Person may need 3 hormones.
Yeah.
Well, it's very different.
I love that. What is that website they can visit?
Yeah, it's lavenderhealthmn.com.
lavenderhealthmn.com. We will link that, and I actually think I'm going to link that handout you just mentioned up in our stories. We'll have a playback for this interview. Is there one thing you would like to have the listeners hear to end this interview of, if they're thinking about coming to see you, what's that one last sentence you want to leave with them?
If you're unsure about, okay, is hormones right for me? I recommend booking a CranioSacral Therapy session because then, one, you get a treatment and it's amazing. You'll feel relaxed and refreshed. But then we can talk about a little bit more things before your appointment. You get to know me, you get to feel the energy, and then, yeah, kind of soothes the nerves.
Okay, and so let's talk about that CranioSacral Therapy just one more quick time, because that's how you started your business.
Yes.
It was your bread and butter. I'm fortunate enough to have been there to experience it. And one of them, I just want to clarify this for all the people. You walk in and you lay on a bed with your clothes on.
Yes.
That is something that so many people are like, I don't want someone like going under my body and around my body if I don't have clothes on. You have your clothes on and you're able to be healed on that nervous system level by Kayla. So I've experienced it. I highly recommend it. lavenderhealthmn.com.
Yep.
Get there, book the appointment. Thank you so much for being here, Kayla.
Yes, thank you.
All right, more of this side of country when we come back.